For what purpose?
Think about it
By hand.
No, he probably...
Coming up empty.
What about 20 or 30 years ago?
40 times in the last month. And guess what he drives?
Grocery list look like.
It's actually...
Which is?
It's mathematical.
What have we got?
Could be a spree killer on the move. Is it a legitimate religion? Yeah. Sounds like a convent.
Could be a zealot wanting to punish.
The controller of the unsub must have been armed.
Shape. Did find...
Killer might have somehow used the stick as a gag.
Flies don't...
Chatting with a neighbor about the person. 2 for 2, Gulfport MEL's larvae, raccoon, and Charlie Clayton Headwood residue in his teeth, just like Clarissa. Smith was a sexual sadist who murdered 8 prostitutes before being killed in a police shootout. Of Russell Smith's earlier victims, the 8 prostitutes.
Birthdays as those who went before.
What is it, Hodge? Russell Smith preyed exclusively on prostitutes and killed infrequently. 8 victims in a 20-year...
Good.
That fits the timeline. Did any of them take a particular interest in her work?
Project on cyclic adenosine monophosphate.
What's the second most common motivation?
Celebrity stalking. Well, how? She's not famous.
Maybe.
Then pick one of us and we'll go through it with you.
Okay.
That's not the point. I want you to focus here and not on my questions. When you think of Maeve, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What about him?
In her letters, Camus, Voltaire, Plato.
Thomas Merton was her way of saying goodbye. You two had this deep connection. Why do you think the unsub would attack the fiancé first? Something links the two of you in the unsub's mind. Or revenge, maybe Maeve got in the way of one of her relationships? Did you guys ever compare lists?
Once I got a note from this girl I had a crush on. I did, and she took my shirt off.
Oh, sounds awful.
What if she was a grad student, maybe working on her
How could Maeve miss her?
project has its own team of research assistants?
And if Maeve rejected her thesis,
The ring.
All right.
Was that him? Well, no. Sometimes I wonder if I hadn't pushed him so hard to meet Maeve.
Blake, you can't blame yourself for encouraging her.
I know. Nice read.
Did he tell you how?
How's he doing it?
Oh, she wouldn't have.
Why these 2 victims? This cross-socioeconomic female just started college at San Francisco State, worked several jobs just to get by.
Hey, but why drain the blood?
Killed many of his victims by biting through their...
Like,
Detective Lund.
He's removed. This guy doesn't have a cool-down period. Rigor hasn't set in yet. I'd say she was put here maybe an hour ago, just after sunrise.
It's getting brazen.
So the unsub was familiar enough with the area to know nobody would disturb.
I'm modeling.
A model? Reed told Morgan line of sight. Unsub. Victims tells us a lost place near the statue of St. Luke.
the unsub sold his painting to this place?
Reminds me of the 80s. What?
Do I even want to know?
Probably.
Welcome. Clean, legal. I'm a connoisseur of the dark and depraved arts.
Bought this one a couple of days ago. Blood. Just want to see if it's from the guy we're looking for.
Call me to the spanking room. $250 cash.
That's our first victim, Pamela Hurd. It's definitely from our guy.
Yeah, we're gonna need to take this piece of his art to identify the unsub.
Lab's got a...
Something or something B
I might have got...
sells plasma. If he's taking the plasma out of the blood, he must... Any of them with AB positive blood?
I'm okay.
Yeah, then it's good to see you. Gone. He doesn't blame anyone.
And he doesn't...
Investigation, but never made it in the paper.
Since then.
Well, he's been writing forever, and he's been teaching since 1980.
Family, and it's in a trust for the girl.
Abandonment could be the common denominator. Restaurant. So the only viable suspect back then was the same one we have now.
Thing in the past years since her mom disappeared.
Where's it now?
He claims he doesn't know where that is.
Explain why he threw his clothes in the water. There were some muddy boots by the back door. We should test those too.
Well, it appears...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's...
Sir, how well do you know the family?
I moved in when we...
And you and Mr. Morrison?
told me he was going to shoot my dog. I used to let my... And he tells me that he can't work because my dog's yapping. The man is nuts.
The Morrison girls were last seen Monday night. Did you see them at all?
It was about 10 o'clock.
Were both cars home?
Then when I turned...
So what do you think?
I don't know. He's sober, so this is raw emotion. He lost his legs when Hotch told him. The tears could be guilt as much as grief.
Because that's what we're supposed to do when given that news. I mean, to sound so cynical, but the man writes fiction. Yes, for what really happened on Monday night.
That was the...
Right, so you think she's alive?
Yeah,
I didn't know. How old were you when your sister died? Why would your missing mother's ex-lover stay in touch?
Red?
And here's it. It's gonna be okay. You just have to stay strong. Leave or for her.
On Monday.
There aren't any. Yeah. He did.
Says he heard